Okay. Anyone in the audience want to talk on this section? There may be. Yes, Mr. Zlotnick, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume the practice will be section by section for comment.
Sure.
Okay. Just appreciate it. I thought that was a very good discussion, and actually I think Mr. Machado's comment there at the end is very useful in terms of getting issues on the table, basically, for discussion and elevating it. In many ways, this is a sort of classic third-party impact discussion, kind of beyond the direct impacts that you have, which, as Joe identified in terms of the statute, we know for our folks on the conveyance that's a requirement that's going to have to be done. Just very quickly, I did want to comment, Professor Michael's comment about the impacts on the Yolo bypass. I believe you said a third reduction in $7 to $10 million. I sent that out. Great thing about phones nowadays. I sent it out to some of our folks and just asked what they thought, and I just will, for the record, indicate they strongly disagreed with that number. I just wanted to get that on the record. And there are folks, there's a group, I think, that's involved in sort of developing this and working on it, so that I'm sure will come out. So in terms of I'd say that we would agree with you, Mr. Chairman, and the concerns raised about the notion of fully mitigated and staff and what that means. We know that there's going to have to be some economic development and some efforts to, I think, amongst all the parties involved to do what we can to help, alleviate the impacts that we know are going to happen. So that discussion is appropriate to continue down the road. On the land use planning, just a couple of issues there. The discussion, I think, as you, Mr. Chairman, said, there's a lot of similarities with the current land use planning of the Delta Protection Commission. And I would just say that with the exception of the covered actions issue, which I think is not a small issue, but overall, the update of the Delta Protection Commission's Land Use and Resource Management Plan that just, I believe, was done a year ago, there's not a whole lot in that that's inconsistent, it seems, with the Delta Plan's ideas, the co-equal goals, and everything else. It seems pretty good, and that's the main overlay right now. So there may not be a whole lot of issues here other than that important one of the covered actions. So I think we need to keep that in mind. And then lastly, I would say on that issue, and Mr. Chairman, you got into this a little bit with Supervisor McGowan, I believe, at your appearance at the Delta Protection Commission a couple months ago, and that is what is the role of the Delta Plan vis-a-vis the county plans, and which have to be consistent with whom. And our view, of course, is that the Delta Plan is what others need to be consistent with, and not the other way around. And
except in the cases where you don't agree with that.
No, it is what it is, and that's what the law seems to say, is that, or does say that the Delta Plan is what local plans need to be consistent with. So,
state and local plans.
True.
Yeah, and covered actions. Okay. All right.